All right, so today we're going to talk about classifying shapes. All right, and the particular type of shapes we're going to talk about are called polygons. Polygons are shapes that have three or more sides. Okay, three or more sides. So the first one we're going to talk about are called triangles. Triangles have at least three sides. And if you look at the word triangles, the first part is tri. Tri means three. Okay, so anytime you see tri, you should think three, like triangles or tricycles or things like that. So tri means three. The first way you can classify triangles is by the length of their lines. So let's look at these triangles here. The first triangle is a scalene triangle. All of the lines in a scalene triangle are not equal. None of them are equal. So if you look at a triangle and it does not have equal lines, it is a scalene triangle. The next one is an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle has at least two sides that are the same length. So this side and that side are the same length. The last one is an equilateral triangle. And if we look at the word equilateral, the first part sounds a lot like equal. So anytime you have an equilateral triangle, it has all three sides that are the same length. Okay? The next way that we can classify triangles is by their angles. Let's look at these three. The first triangle is an acute triangle. And remember, anything that is acute measures less than 90 degrees. So if we look at the angles that this triangle makes, we know that it's acute because all of the angles are acute angles. Okay? All of the angles are acute angles. The next one is a right triangle. And we know that a right angle is 90 degrees exactly. All right, so a right triangle must have at least one right angle. Now I have a question and I want you to ponder this. Can a right triangle have more than one right angle? Answer in the comments. Okay, the last triangle we have is an obtuse triangle. And remember, obtuse angles measure more than 90 degrees. So an obtuse triangle must have at least one angle that measures more than 90 degrees. Okay? Let's look at these shapes. Now, we learned these shapes probably in kindergarten, in pre-K. We have all of these shapes. The first, and all of these shapes are called quadrilaterals. And if you look at the word quadrilateral, the first part of that word quad means four. Okay. So when you see quadrilaterals, you think about four-sided shapes. Okay. All right, let's move on. The first shape we have is, of course, a square. If we look at the size of the square, we see that all four sides are equal. They're all equal. Okay. And all four sides form right angles. Okay. That is the way you describe a square. All four sides are equal and all four corners form right angles. So four equal sides, four right angles, and it's a square. The next shape is a rectangle. Now, a rectangle is a lot like a square, but the sides are not equal. You have two long sides and 2 short sides. All right, you have 2 long sides and 2 short sides. And just like the square, you have 4 right angles. Now here's a question. Can a square be a rectangle? Think about that. And also think about this. Can a rectangle be a square? Post your comments and let me know your answers, all right? All right, now, the next shape is a rhombus. A lot like a square, it has 4 sides that are the same length, but they do not form right angles, okay? They do not form right angles. The next shape is a parallelogram, okay? A parallelogram has 2 sets of parallel sides, okay? 2 sets of parallel sides, and they do not form right angles. The last shape is a trapezoid. A trapezoid has 1 set of parallel lines that will not touch. And then the other set is perpendicular because at some point they will touch. All right, so let's look at some questions. Is this triangle a right, acute, or obtuse triangle? Well, if I look at the angles and I remember my notes, I know that a right triangle has to have at least one angle that measures 90 degrees, okay? So if I look at these, can I put a square in this corner? No. Can I put a square in this corner? No. What about this corner? No. So I know that this is not a right triangle, okay? So I know if I look at my triangle, they're not right angles, so I have to, they're on a curve. So they have to measure something, okay? So let's look at the way the angle is measured. If I look at this angle B, I know that angle B forms an acute angle. Angle A forms an acute angle, and angle C forms an acute angle. And an acute triangle must have 3 sides or 3 angles that are acute. All the angles have to be acute. So I know that this is an acute triangle, and it's not an obtuse triangle or a right triangle. Let's look at this one. Which of the statements below are true? Select all that apply. And let's remember that it says select all that apply. So we may have more than one answer. Let's look at the first choice. A, angle CBA is a right triangle. Well, let's look at angle CBA. Here is angle CBA. Does angle CBA form a right angle? Of course not. It forms an acute angle. All right. Let's look at B. Angle BCA is a right angle. Well, let's look at BCA. Here's B, C, and A. Does BCA form a right angle? Yes, because I know that right angles form 90 degrees and I can put a square in the corner. So answer choice B is a correct answer. But remember, it says that we should select all of the correct answers that apply. So let's also look at answer choice number letter C. C says angle CAB is acute. CAB is acute. Well, let's check it out and see. Here is angle CAB. Well, I know that acute angles are less than 90 and obtuse angles are more than 90. So if that is the case, then angle CAB must be an acute angle because it is small. So our answer choices here are B and C. Okay, so let's look at some quadrilaterals. The question says, I have 4 sides. My opposite sides are parallel. My sides are not perpendicular. What shape am I? Okay, so let's look at the important information here. We're classifying a 4-sided shape, okay? So the shape has 4 sides. We know it's a quadrilateral. The first thing we notice is that the opposite sides are parallel. So that means that the top and the bottom are parallel, and then the left and the right are parallel. Okay? They do not cross. Parallel lines are lines that do not cross. So let's see how many shapes don't apply already. So we can't have a kite because the kite's sides are perpendicular. They cross, okay? We can't have a trapezoid because it says that the sides are not perpendicular. So we don't want to use a trapezoid, even though it has parallel sides. One set, it only has one set of parallel sides. Now, that leaves us 4 shapes left. We have a square, a rectangle, a parallelogram, or a rhombus. Okay? My opposite sides are parallel. They do not cross. Okay? So, look at the answer choices. Can we choose a rectangle, a trapezoid, or a parallelogram? So, right off the bat, we don't have to worry about rhombus. Okay? My opposite sides are parallel. My sides are not perpendicular. All right, so we know that perpendicular angles are formed when 2 lines intersect and form 4 right angles. All right, so let's see. I know that a square has 4 right angles, and a rectangle also has 4 right angles. So that means that the sides are perpendicular because they have right angles. So we can't use a square and we can't use a rectangle. So being that we can't use trapezoid for an answer or a rectangle as an answer, our answer must be a parallelogram. Parallelogram is the correct answer because these corners do not form right angles. They do not form right angles, but they are parallel and there are 4 sides. Let's look at one more question. Last question. Which of the statements below are true? Select all that apply. All right, let's keep that in mind. We got to select all that apply. Let's look at A. A rhombus always has 4 right angles. Well, let's look at the rhombus. The rhombus does not have any right angles, right? I can't put a square in those. So Those are not right angles. So we know that A is not a good answer choice. Let's look at B. A trapezoid has one set of parallel sides. Well, let's look at the trapezoid. If I look at this trapezoid, it has one set of parallel lines here and here. And then it has another set of lines that goes this way. But they're not parallel, okay? So that means that our trapezoid is a correct answer because the trapezoid has one set of parallel lines. All right, let's look at answer choice C because remember, we have to select all that apply. So we need to look at all of our answer choices. All right, C says a rectangle has perpendicular sides. Remember, perpendicular lines form an intersection that makes 4 right angles. Let's look at the angles in our rectangle. And a rectangle has 4 right angles. So that means all of the lines are perpendicular. It has perpendicular sides. So if I labeled this side A, this side B, C, and down here is D, A and B would form a perpendicular line. B and C would form a perpendicular line. C and D would form a perpendicular line. And A and D, or D and A, would form perpendicular lines. So yes, answer choice C would be a correct answer. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you can get all of this great content. See you later.